Now we start with Israel and Russia. The Kremlin has confirmed that Russian President Vladimir Putin and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have held a phone call to discuss a wide range of Middle East developments. According to Russian media, the leaders have conducted a thorough exchange of views on the unfolding situation in the Gaza Strip, the implementation of the ceasefire agreement, and detainee exchange. The two have also discussed the status of Iran's nuclear program, along with efforts to stabilize Syria. The call follows heightened diplomatic activity surrounding the United States mission to the United Nations, which has formally urged the UN Security Council to endorse a draft resolution incorporating President Donald Trump's 20-point Gaza plan. Now for this discussion, we welcome Sasha Machta. He's a political commentator, joins us live from Jerusalem. Thank you very much, Sasha, for joining us again. Good to see you. Sasha, now looking at this, can you tell us how could Putin and Netanyahu dialogue influence, if it could influence any prospects of the durable ceasefire? And why is Putin talking with Prime Minister right now? Or what could this timing suggest in the motive of Russia?
So this conversation comes in the context of Russia draft to the UN Security Council resolution last Thursday, where Russia sent a counter-proposal where apparently it was supposed to be inspired by the US resolution in the Security Council, which was actually missing the International Board of Peace. So that was one of the main differences with the US proposal. But in the context of this UN resolution that's supposed to be passed in the Security Council, this conversation was held. So of course the topics discussed were the ceasefire in Gaza, the Iranian nuclear sites, but also Syria. We know that Russia has had a strong foot and stake in Syria for the past years during the Assad regime, and they do not obviously want to give up this important influence that they have in the region through Syria. So Israel and Russia in that sense have a common interest in keeping quiet in Syria. Regarding Iran, we see that Russia has played a double face. On one hand, they're discussing to have Iran not have nuclear weapons and to discuss the peaceful nuclear program, in their words, but on the other hand, they are part of the axis of Russia, China, and Iran that is actually waging a war on Israel. So we know that Israel and Russia's relations have been deteriorating for the past years, that Russia has stood by Iran, an existential enemy of the state of Israel, but the relationship is very complicated, and the situation right now in Gaza also requires complete consensus in the Security Council if the US resolution were to pass, which is of course in the interest of everyone in the region. So we could see that despite the relations not being so strong, there's a lot of interests at the moment that are important for Russia and Israel to be discussing.
So, Sasha, what do you think? Well, why did Russia suddenly come up with this, peace truce deal, or what they sent or suggested? And you have already mentioned the difference between the one that was from U.S. and that the difference you have suggested. And also, what is in interest of Israel to talk with Putin right now?
So first of all, the main reason could be, or one of the reasons could be that Russia, of course, wants to hide that they're fighting their own war, that they've been waging a brutal war on Ukraine for the past years, and they want to show on the international arena that they are peacemakers and not their true colors, which are seen every day on the battlefield in Ukraine, where this war has been unfortunately going on for far too long. So Russia wants to show their peacemaking side and their respect for international law while breaking all rules in their own war. So that's one of the reasons. And of course Russia has an interest in having a foot in the Middle East. Russia has always wanted to have a presence in the Middle East through Syria, through Iran, and of course that requires dialoguing and conversation with Israel, especially now as they look to counter American influence. The U.S. came with the UN Security Council with their own proposal, so now Russia, of course, will want to come with a counter proposal to show that they are still a global player and to assert their dominance in the region. So that is probably why we would have seen this call with Netanyahu, where Netanyahu, of course, also has the dialogue with Russia, being that huge superpower. All countries nowadays are forced to have dialogue with Russia, especially in the Middle East. They have such a strong presence, and yeah, most importantly, also to discuss the resolution at the Security Council, which Russia has brought to counter the American one.
And how might this efforts of U.S. at the UN to push the 20-point Gaza plan intersect or clash with Russia's this plan suggesting to Israel, and if it builds Russia-Israel diplomacy?
So first of all, the U.S. proposal has to pass with full consensus, as it's a Security Council resolution, and given Russia and China's presence and their attitude towards the war, and obviously the clear side that they've taken for the past years on the axis of Iran and Hamas, I don't see Trump's resolution passing with consensus. So yeah, the Russia-Israel relations are also at a very, very significant low, and I don't think that this is gonna be ground to build up the relationship. In fact, Israel has just been improving their relations with Ukraine over the past months, and with Taiwan as well. Israel has a clear understanding that this battle is being waged against Western world, and that Ukraine and countries like Ukraine and Taiwan are standing on the same front that we're standing on. So it's very complicated to build a relationship with Russia while also fighting the same axis that Russia is part of, Iran and China. So yeah, the relationship is complex, and I do not see that the U.S. resolution will be passed. So other solutions will have to be reached, and that's why the U.S. and Israel are now thinking of dividing Gaza in two, one beyond the Yellow Line, which will be hopefully rebuilt without Hamas, and a side with Hamas. And the Gazan people will have to choose whether they want to see their fate under this brutal terrorist organization that completely ruined their lives, or to live under a rebuilt Gaza, which is backed by the whole region and Europe and the United States.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Sasha Majda for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now, moving on, the Israeli military says it has demolished a kilometer-long Hamas tunnel in northern Gaza